And here is the story of Linda Lee Cadwell, the wife of Bruce Lee. Linda Lee Cadwell is the widow of the greatest kung fu legend, Bruce Lee. Linda led an ambitious life as a martial artist, writer, teacher, and philanthropist. During their 9 years together, Linda described life with the martial artist as an amazing experience. One that she would always cherish. Bruce's untimely death devastated her deeply, but she remained determined to rise above her own unhappiness. Linda Lee, the widow of the late kung fu star Bruce Lee, attended her husband's funeral with tears and indescribable sorrow. With her husband gone, she had to take care of their 2 young children. However, the soulful mother gracefully donned her robe and lived life the best way she knew how. Linda Emery Cadwell was born on March 21, 1945, in Everett, Washington, into a Baptist family. When she was only 1 year old, her father passed away, a loss she found hard to accept. After her father's death, the family decided to move to Seattle. She grew up with her older sister and mother, who tried their best to provide her with all the love and support she needed as a child. She is of Swedish-Irish-English descent, which asserts her striking beauty and posture. Linda Lee Cadwell's height is 5 feet 7 inches. For education, she attended Garfield High School and completed her high school program from there. Later, she joined the University of Washington to become a teacher. While there, she had her first encounter with Bruce Lee. This happened when Bruce came to perform kung fu in a class, and she was there to watch. Captivated by Bruce's talent and mastery of martial arts, she started attending classes and learning from Bruce as they attended the same university. Their love was love at first sight, as they both felt an immediate attraction to each other. Linda and Bruce met in 1963 and got married on August 17. 1964, at the time of her marriage to Bruce, Linda was only 19 years old and still lacked a few credits to graduate from college. Speaking of her life with the admired martial artist, Linda said of Bruce Lee, "He was so dynamic. From the first moment I met him, I thought, this guy is different." And what better way to prove this than to hear Bruce Lee's wife tell us about it. "Bruce, when I first met him in Seattle, Washington, where I lived and we both attended the University of Washington, he was teaching kung fu classes, which he called Zhanfang Kung Fu. And I learned from him. And at that time, his dream was to teach martial arts, bringing his Chinese kung fu beauty to Americans and the world. He was the real deal. He was the person in the movies. He wasn't different off-screen than on-screen. He was vibrant, full of life. And he was real." The newlyweds moved to California, and Lee, who had begun developing a new fighting style called Jeet Kune Do, eventually opened 3 schools in Los Angeles, Oakland, California, and Seattle. He also began pursuing acting more seriously and starred in the television series The Green Hornet. The program, based on a 1930s radio show, cast Lee as Kato, the Asian sidekick of the Hornet. He virtually created this role, infusing Kato with a stage combat style entirely different from the style he taught in his own school. The show would be cancelled after 1 season, but fans would remember Lee's portrayal for a long time. After The Green Hornet ended, Lee appeared as a guest star on TV shows like Longstreet and Ironside. His most notable role during this time was in the film Marlowe, 1969, alongside James Garner, where he played a memorable villain character with a high kick. Clearly, Lee possessed the qualities of a star. But it was also evident that an Asian American had to face limitations within the Hollywood system, which tended to typecast Asian actors into stereotypical roles. So, in 1971, the Lee family, including son Brandon, born in 1965, and daughter Shannon, born in 1967, moved to Hong Kong. Here we have an exclusive clip of Linda describing the challenges her late husband, Bruce Lee, faced to become an actor in Hollywood. However, it was challenging for him to break into Hollywood as an established actor due to prejudices against him as Chinese. Studios believed it was unacceptable to have a Chinese leading man in films. So Bruce set out to prove them wrong. What they didn't know at the time was that Bruce Lee would revolutionize the world of martial arts. Back in Hong Kong, Lee quickly signed on for 2 films and released a movie known to American audiences as Fists of Fury at the end of 1971. The story revolves around Lee as a martial artist seeking revenge for those who killed his kung fu master. Though the storyline itself wasn't original, its presentation was, and the crucial factor was Lee. He blended the fluid, adaptive style of Jeet Kune Do he taught in his school with the flashy, aggressive, stage-friendly methods he used in his role as Kato. With his agile moves, dance-like grace, handsome and charismatic appearance, sense of humor, and acting ability, Lee was a top-tier star in the making. When you have someone going all the way, suddenly you become a machine. No longer a man. Fists of Fury broke box office records in Hong Kong and was only eclipsed by his next film, The Chinese Connection. In 1972, Lee established his own film company, Concord Pictures, and began directing movies. The first installment of these would appear in the US as Way of the Dragon. Lee was enthusiastic about his future, not just as a performing artist but as a filmmaker. If lucky, I hope to make the kind of films where you can just watch the surface story if you want or delve deeper into it. Unfortunately, Lee wouldn't live to fully explore his potential as a filmmaker. On July 20, 1973, 3 weeks before his 4th film, Enter the Dragon, was released in the US, he passed away suddenly. His death was untimely and a shock to his loved ones and fans alike, especially to his wife, Linda Lee. He was 32, and his career was at its peak until he succumbed to cerebral edema. Lee's death became controversial. The official cause of death was swelling of the brain due to a reaction to aspirin he took to treat a back injury. But his sudden departure, coupled with his youth, good health, and the peculiar timing on the brink of international superstardom, sparked rumors that he was murdered. Some speculated that he had crossed paths with Chinese mafia and other powerful entities in the Hong Kong film industry and was poisoned. Throughout his life, Lee was haunted by fears of his own early demise. And some believe this talented young star was subject to some kind of eerie curse. According to legend and rumor, when Lee purchased a house in Hong Kong shortly before his death, he had to endure the wrath of demons residing in the area. The curse was said to last for 3 generations. Tragically, the concept of the curse became oddly plausible on June 18, 1993, a month and 2 days before the 20th anniversary of Lee's death when Brandon Lee passed away under similarly bizarre circumstances. While filming a scene for The Crow, he was shot by a gun believed to be loaded with blanks but actually contained a live round. Similar to his father, Brandon Lee was on the path to stardom. Lee left behind a monumental artistic legacy, essentially pioneering a new form of cinematic art. By the 1990s, Enter the Dragon alone had grossed over $100 million, and Lee's influence could be found in the works of many Hollywood action heroes. For example, in 1993, Jason Scott Lee starred in Dragon, the story of Bruce Lee, directed by Rob Cohen. Actress Lauren Holly played Linda, Lee's wife, and Holly became friends with Shannon, Lee's daughter. Linda epitomizes resilience. She is a testament to the saying, "When life gives you lemons, make lemonade." Then single with 2 children, Lee had no choice but to navigate through the tumultuous waters of her love life. Besides marrying Bruce Lee, Linda remarried several times after the passing of her first husband. Linda Lee married Tom Bleecker in 1988. However, their final relationship wasn't meant to be everlasting. They divorced 2 years later, and the media mocked Linda Lee with all sorts of reasons to gossip. Not long after her divorce from Bleecker, Linda married Bruce Cadwell in 1991 and settled in Southern California. Cadwell was a stockbroker at the time and made a living from this profession. To this day, the couple has retired and continues to enjoy each other's company. They spend time playing golf and traveling together. Linda Lee's widow life has always been plagued with many rumors, including the question, is Linda Lee Cadwell still alive? To put it bluntly, Linda is still alive and living in Boise, Idaho, with her current husband, Bruce Cadwell. Linda is the founder of the Bruce Lee Foundation, which she co-manages with her daughter, Shannon. Linda Lee Cadwell's estimated net worth is $12 million as of 2021. The majority of her earnings come from her successful writing career. Her best-selling book is Bruce Lee, The Only Man I Knew. However, the inheritance rights of Bruce Lee's estate still constitute a significant asset for the charitable foundation that manages her late husband's assets. Linda Lee Cadwell is currently enjoying a slow-paced life. She enjoys rural living and has passed on her estate to her daughter. When Cadwell appears at events, it's usually as a volunteer. Currently, at 76 years old, he still works at a spa in the years following. However, even after 48 years since the passing of this legend, Bruce Lee's legacy still endures, a cultural icon of Hong Kong, a martial arts icon, and a philosopher whose words continue to inspire, transcending generations and different cultural backgrounds worldwide. However, Linda Lee and her daughter, Shannon Lee, have faced quite a few difficulties in reconciling with Bruce's surviving siblings. Both sides of the Lee family often pursue projects dedicated solely to Bruce. Sparse communication typically comes in the form of email exchanges and letters from lawyers, rather than warm phone calls and family gatherings. The rift within the Lee family is no secret. The first factor is the distance, as most live in different regions of the United States. Cultural differences also come into play, as Lee's siblings have established a traditional Chinese family. Shannon and Cadwell, who have both remarried twice since Bruce's passing, are both American. Shannon says, "We don't have a bad relationship. We just don't communicate regularly." At the heart of the family feud are the rights to Bruce's name, image, and work. The issue of rights has become an unshakable matter for the Lee family since Bruce Lee's passing due to acute cerebral edema. Records from the California Secretary of State's office show that in 1985, Cadwell, Lee's surviving son Brandon, and Shannon declared themselves as successors under the California Civil Code Section 3344.1 for the interests concerning the rights of a deceased personality. This law provides protection for the rights to name, voice, signature, likeness, or portrait of value at the time of death to lineal descendants, spouse, children, grandchildren, or parents or grandparents living at the time of death. Public records indicate that Cadwell claimed 50% of all such rights in the name of Linda Lee as the surviving spouse of Lee. Brandon and Shannon each demanded 25% as the surviving children of Lee. Shannon was only 4 years old when Bruce passed away. The Bruce Lee Foundation was established in 2002 as a charitable organization to promote Bruce's legacy. Shannon serves as the president with Linda Lee Cadwell as the chairperson. When the film Bruce Lee, My Brother, produced by Bruce Lee's siblings, Robert Lee and two sisters, was being made, they received legal letters from Shannon's attorneys before the film was released in 2010. This was because they didn't have the rights to use Bruce Lee's image or likeness, as those rights were being handled by the Bruce Lee Foundation. When asked about this, Robert said he tried to involve Shannon by providing her with detailed information about investors. Then she didn't want to work with me. She wanted the entire deal to be her own. We don't talk as much as I would like. They don't want to cooperate with us. We're a family. There's no reason why we shouldn't cooperate. We share different parts of Bruce's life. In another competing instance, when the Bruce Lee Club of Hong Kong, where Phoebe and Robert are honorary chairpersons, fundraised for an iconic statue of Bruce Lee on the Avenue of Stars in Sai Sui in 2005, they reached out to Shannon. But she chose not to participate. Robert said, "I'm not trying to inherit the Bruce Lee empire. I'm nearing my late 60s, and Simi is retired. I'm not interested in pursuing anything. If they think I'm trying to make money, I haven't done anything except acting." He mentioned that his 2 books about Bruce Lee, one in Chinese and one in Japanese, each only sold 1,000 copies. Robert said, "Our family has never been sued, but we've received threatening letters from Linda's former attorney. I've stopped talking to Linda." Clarence Lee, another surviving sibling of Bruce Lee, lives in Macau and Hong Kong, said, "I'm speaking not only for this family but for any family. Speaking through lawyers is wrong." He said his father and aunts were very disappointed as they just wanted to share their experiences with fans interested in Bruce's childhood. Robert recalled a time when the family was closer, supporting each other when Bruce passed away even though Bruce's siblings were in the United States when the news broke. Phoebe moved to the United States with her Chinese-American husband 43 years ago. Robert was living in the U.S. at the time and returned to Hong Kong in 1975 to pursue his music career. When Bruce's mother passed away in 1996, 3 years after the tragic accident on the set of The Crow claimed Brandon's life, Shannon, then 27 years old, did not attend the funeral. Robert stated that Shannon and Cadwell did not visit their mother during her final months, and they also did not attend her funeral. Bruce's siblings said that this was in stark contrast to Bruce's attitude towards family. Phoebe, who is 2 years older than Bruce, said her beloved brother always prioritized family. "Every time we took a photo, he had to be next to me. I stand on the right, he stands on the right. I stand on the left. So he's the closest to you among the closest ones?" "Yeah, I'm very close to him," she replied. She recalled the joy of her father, Guangdong opera conductor Li Huichuan, upon hearing the news of Brandon's birth in the United States. He was very happy because this was his first grandchild and a grandson. "You know what a son means in Chinese tradition," she said. A week later, Li Huichuan passed away in his sleep. Bruce hurried back from California to attend the funeral. Phoebe said Bruce was devastated that he couldn't bid farewell to his father directly. "He knelt down as he entered the hall. He cried, and I told him, 'Don't cry, big brother,'" Phoebe recalled. Phoebe reluctantly spoke about her relationship with Shannon and Cadwell. She said she didn't really communicate with Cadwell and blamed her poor English. "I just wish one day everything will be okay. I hope all of this can be resolved before my 2 sisters and I die," she said. "Break down the wall. Now you pour water into a cup, it becomes a cup. You pour water into a bottle, it becomes a bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes tea. Now the water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend."